Hey guys, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. We've got a beautiful sunrise here this morning on our winter wonderland. I'll tell you, I was making my gratitude list this morning, and let me tell you one thing I'm grateful for every day, but especially so today, and that's my house, my home, my family, all these things, because last night we almost lost it. Seriously, literally, we almost had a house fire. I'm going to explain to you what happened. And I'm going to ask you to give me your input on this as far as why you think this happened. Not particularly why the fire almost started. These things happen. But the strange thing that happened that I did before the fire started that I knew I shouldn't have done, but if I hadn't done, would have lost our house. And it has to do with fire. This is crazy, guys. This is a strange series of serendipitous events that kept our home from burning to the ground last night at about 1:16 a.m. Okay, so here's the deal. I had a fire in the wood stove last night because it's winter. We go to bed. I get up about every hour and a half or so, or maybe every 2 hours, to put more wood on the fire, pay the water bill. I'm a light sleeper. I have been ever since I served in Iraq almost 10 years. Well, 10 years ago. Sometimes animals outside wakes me up. So anyway, or wake me up. It was about midnight-ish. I gotten up. I put more wood on the stove, on the fire. And one of the ways in which we control, our dampering system, the doors actually work as a damper, depending upon how far or how much you shut the doors. It's an old stove from 1977. So when I put the wood on, the new wood, and I shut the doors, I pushed them closed too much. I knew I pushed them closed too much. And in my mind, and I wasn't I was groggy, but not really half asleep. And I said to myself, Kevin, there's not enough airflow going into the stove. This is going to cause this wood to smolder out. This fire is not going to burn long. It's going to smolder out in less than an hour, and you're going to be back in here rebuilding your fire. Don't do this. Give it more airflow. But then it's like, another voice in my head said, no, you need this. This is how it has to be done. And I'm questioning myself. I'm like, why? Why do I want this fire to smolder out? Why do I want to be up in an hour or less just to rebuild a fire? This is crazy. And you guys have seen, I make videos about wood stove fires, about the airflow thing, about, proper size cut wood. I've kind of become somewhat of an artist, at least with my wood stove, in the last few years of being here and learning how to operate it. I knew there wasn't going to be enough airflow to keep that fire going. But that's how I did it. I went back to bed, and as I'm laying there, I'm saying, this is stupid. I'm going to be up in less than an hour because that fire is going to smolder out. So I go back to sleep. I wake up fully awake. I feel like it's the middle of the day. I feel like, I've had coffee. I haven't just woken up, haven't even taken a nap. I look at my watch. It's 1:16 a.m. And the thought that goes through my head is fire. And I'm like, okay, the fire's out. But then again, I get this feeling like that's not it. So I get up. I go into the living room. I go to the wood stove. Sure enough, the fire smoldered out. Now, usually you can hear guys, this is crazy. You can hear the fire crackling at night. When it's burning, you can hear it popping, you can hear it crackling. And this is what a lot of times wakes me up at night. And I'll hear it pop, and I just go back to sleep. I hear the pop, and I'll go back to sleep. Well, it wasn't popping because it had smoldered out. So I go to the wood stove, I kneel down to restart the fire, and then I hear the pop that sounds exactly like the pop from the fire, but it's coming from the kitchen. I'm like, that's strange. What is that? So I start building the fire back up, and I hear it again, and I'm like, is that a water leak? Because it sounded kind of like a pop, kind of sounded like a water leak. So I get the fire lit, just the kindling, and I'm thinking to myself, gosh, I knew this was going to happen. Why did I do this? I knew this fire was going to go out. So I get the fire, the kindling lit, and I hear this popping / dripping noise again in the kitchen. So I walk into the kitchen, and I turn on the light, and I hear it again, and it's coming from this corner. Now, guys, our house was originally built in 1903. The kitchen and the dining room were put on as additions, I think in the 1970s or 1980s, and it wasn't done very efficiently. Our kitchen especially is crammed. Our hot water heater is beside our stove, and our washer and dryer in there. our house sat on the market for a long time before we bought it, and I think this is why. I mean, most folks just, they're like, wow, that's kind of crammed in there. But for us, we didn't care because, you know, we'd been in the Philippines 6 years for me and my wife and son their entire lives, and a large part of that time we didn't have running water at all. And then when we finally did advance up to where we had running water, we certainly didn't have hot water. So when the agent was showing us the house, he's like, well, here's one of the drawbacks. The hot water heater's right here beside, you know, crammed in the kitchen. And we're like, hot water heater? You mean we have hot water? Heck yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Where do we sign, you know? So it's like the house was sitting here vacant for 2 years just waiting on us. And I pointed out before about how it was built the same year my wife's native country, the Philippines, was liberated from Spain. Well, and then, of course, the Americans left 1903 after a 5-year occupation after running Spain out. But anyway, what's this have to do with house fire? I look over in the corner, and there where the hot water tank is, there's smoke coming out of it, and I hear the popping. The insulation on the inside of the hot water tank is on fire, and it's smoking. So I run in the bedroom. I wake up Dearly and Daniel. I say, hey, wake up. We might have to get out of here. I run back in the kitchen. I grab the fire extinguisher. I spray it. It goes out. It goes out. I take the cover off. Well, I disconnect it. I unplug it. I go outside. I turn off the main power breaker that goes to the water tank. I wanted to make sure there was no electrical current or nothing going to it. Got it put out, got it extinguished, and for the rest of the night, the next 2 hours I didn't sleep, and every 15 minutes I was going in there and checking on it. But one of the things that I just kept thinking about too this whole time, and this morning, we're fine, we're safe, and actually Dearly and Daniel are still awake right now. So, but we're gonna go get a new hot water heater, have it installed, all this stuff, taking care of the problem. But it's like, I understood why I didn't shut the doors correctly I was supposed to wake up. That's why my fire in the wood stove was supposed to go out, because I was supposed to wake up. The fire in the wood stove wasn't supposed to burn correctly because I wasn't supposed to hear the snap, crackle, pop from the wood stove. I had to be able to hear the snap, crackle, pop from the hot water tank in the kitchen, because otherwise I may have just assumed it was coming from the wood stove and gone back to sleep, and our house could have burned down while we were, how do things like this happen? I mean, I knew I was not shutting the doors on the wood stove correctly. I said it to myself before even going back to bed, but something else said this is how it's supposed to be. These are the strange things that happen. I know you guys have had experiences like this that we just can't explain, but that we're thankful for and afterwards make so much sense. So guys, that's just amazing. I can't explain it, but again, I am so thankful and grateful. Every day of my life I am. But last night, that was a close call. So that's your ramble for today. It's a few minutes shorter than usual because I got to go get a hot water heater. Some of you are saying, thank goodness. No, those guys are gone. Those people that complain about that's 18 minutes of their lives they'll never get back. I can't even imagine how much time of my life and my wife's life and my son's life we would have never gotten back if things hadn't worked out the way they did last night. To knowingly not damper the fireplace or the wood stove fire correctly so that I would be able to know there was a fire. And of all times for a fire to start at the hot water heater, serendipity, folks, something to it. So anyway, I'm going to give you a beautiful parting shot of sunrise on the homestead here. This snow probably won't be here tomorrow because, like I said, it's going to be 54 degrees today. I hope it's warm where you are, and I hope each and every single one of you have a great day. Thanks for being with us. Give me your input on this crazy story and what you think, and we'll see you for more next time.